Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and again we're getting ready for the Idaho Renaissance Fair this coming weekend. And one of the things I need is a couple of fairy dust necklaces. So we're gonna make a couple here. Now these take quite a few steps to make, and so we're gonna start, and we'll make a step, then we'll take a break, make a step, so on. So let's turn down and I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, here we are. I've got two little packages with the fairy dust necklaces items in them. Now, I've got everything I should need in here except for the glue, I think. So anyway, this little, and the glitter. This little bottle is the basic. Here's its cork. This one is the gears one, which is going to use two of the, I guess it's three of the gears from out of the package that we showed you yesterday when we made all of the fairy dust, the gear items, the hair barrette and the two hair barrettes, the hair comb, the bobby pins. So we're going to put these little gears on the bottle. That's step number one, is gluing these little gears on. Step number two is we're also going to, while we're at it, take the little screw out of the top of the cork, glue it, and then screw it back in so it's more stable in there. That way it can't be unscrewed easily. After this dries for a while, the next step will be to put the glitter in and glue the glitter jar down. But we also need to make our chain, which is here, put our bail on said chain, and then of course we'll put lobster claw on one side and the ring on the other. Now, this lobster claw I'm using is one of the ones that I get from Softlex when I get a kit. I usually use a much bigger one, but since most people who buy these are either parents or they're younger people, like teenagers or what have you, I've decided they can use these rather than let them go to waste and not be used at all. So that is the chain makeup. The chain can be made right now, can be made later. We can put our steps onto this one, the glue this, and let's set it aside, do the things for that, and then put the chain together. And the other thing we need to put together is our charm here that we put down the side. These jump rings are for hooking the bail on, number one, and number three is, these three are for hooking the charm on. I use either two or three depending on how the first piece hangs, because it's got to go over the top from the ring down the side here and then start down before the charm starts, or it was going to stick out to the side. The way it is, it generally, when you're wearing it, the little bottle goes sideways some because it's the lightest item. So this is going to be our top piece, this big gear, which is the connector. It's got two slots. And then we're going to have this sort of funky flower next, and then our fairy at the bottom on this one. This one, let's put this stuff a little bit to the side so you can see what we're going to do. And I am going to put our pieces onto our bottle and do that at the same time here. So the chain pieces have fallen into the bottle. Uh-oh, now I have to get them out. There we go. Okay. Excuse me. So this is the chain piece, goes just the same as the other, so no problem there. And here is what we're going to put on this one, a little sand dollar and a little starfish. Now I've already bent these to the shape they need to be. You do need to bend them to go around the bottle. My original plan was just to do these off camera, but then I thought, oh, that's all right, we can do these on camera. So that's why I have these bent and painted already. So there we go. There's our, now we'll put that aside. These two are going to be our first gluing project, with along with the gears on this one, and then our cork, of course. Now, of course, we're going to have all the same items up here that we need there. And what we're going to do for our bead strand is we've got this really cool little glass shell. We're going to use it for in the middle between these two pearls. And then we'll have the double bead cap on either side with the pearls sitting on them. Now, and the charm at the bottom. Now I've got these two daisy spacers, and they're to go up at the top and the bottom because I don't want to accidentally scratch the pearls coating. So that's what this strand's going to look like, and go down the side of the bottle. So let's get started. Well, actually, I guess one thing I'm missing is some wire to hook these together, but that's all right. We'll get to that. So the first thing we could do is make the chains, and then we can set them aside. So let's do that, and then the next thing we're going to do is glue the pieces onto the bottle or make the bead strand, either one. But let's get the chains made, since that is one of the simplest things to do. Need that big one. So all you have to do to make the chain, of course, is, since we have all of the pieces we need right here, is we will simply open up this large jump ring, put it through the chain at the base, and close it up. Now I have oval jump rings because that's what I prefer, due to the fact that the gravity keeps the break in the long side to the side rather than rolling it around and possibly letting the chain get into it. So that makes it simpler for the... Now the next step is to drop our bail through the slot. Here, just like that. This is what they call a bead bail. We're going to open this. Find the end on this side and through the loop, and then through our jump ring. Close that up. So now the chain for one side is done. Now I cut these chains about 18 inches because I want to make sure they're long enough, but at the same time I don't want them atrociously long, because like I say, a lot of times the people that buy these and wear them are younger. So put this aside. Now we're going to make the one for the other side. Only take a few moments. Make it exactly the same way as we did the other one. Now you don't have to put the big one on first. You can put the lobster claw on first, but you do have to put your bail on before you put both sides together. That's just unless your bail will slide over. Now I have tested, and the bail will not slide over. See, it won't go through here. And I don't really want the bail to slide over, because then the whole piece, which is going to be hanging on the bail, could slide off. And as you can see, the lobster claw won't go through either. So I must have some glue or something on these because it keeps trying to stick to things. So anyway, we'll set those to the side now because we've got this other chain done as well. So the 2 chains are finished, ready to go. They won't get put on until a later stage because we're going to when we put our pieces on here and then glue the cork piece in, those things have to dry some, and then they also after you finish letting this dry some and then get the glitter in the bottle, then I'm going to glue the cork into the bottle, and then that's going to have to dry a while too before we add these pieces, the chain and the our bead strand, because we don't want it to actually be putting pressure on our glue until it dries a little bit. So we have a choice now. We can put our bead strand together right now, or we can go and glue the first 2 pieces together. Now I find that it doesn't take long to make a bead strand, especially one as small as this one, since we're going to be just putting the flower and the gear on. So I may just do this step. So we're going to get some 20 gauge wire, gold wire, and cut a couple hunks of that. We don't need very much because, well, for one thing, this one is going to have this smaller piece I did for this side over here because we're going to connect to here. And we're just going to have to go through the flower and connect to the fairy. So it's not going to be much for this first one. So we're going to do a normal wrapped loop by just bending over, getting our bell making pliers, going in here, up and around and over, bring her down, swing her around, push her a little bit so she's a lollipop shape, as you can see. And now we want to make sure this is open just a hair because we have to slide our fairy onto here. Now, these are not vintage, but Tierracast fairies, so I'm seriously hoping that Greek company that has taken, I think they're from Greece, that has taken over Tierracast since they went out of business. I'm hoping that this is one of the pieces that they bring back into production, because these fairies are perfect for my fairy dust necklaces, and I was a little bit upset when I was like, oh my goodness, I won't be able to get the fairies for the fairy dust necklaces anymore. So I'm truly hoping that they are. These are my last 2 gold fairies. I do have some silver ones left, but I've been thinking to myself, if they don't bring these back into production and I can't find another fairy I really like, I'm going to have to stop making fairy dust necklaces, because half of the fairy dust necklace is that charm of the fairy down at the bottom. We'll see what happens though. So now we put this bead on here, and then we're going to wrap this up to go on the other side. So we're just going to do another simple wrapped loop here. And I'm going to make it going the same way as this one down here was. So up and over and around. Don't be knocking your pieces off. Then we're going to go in here, and we're going to go up and around. Now, of course, we're going to bring it over here, and we're going to do this. Now, I have to leave a pretty goodly space here because that connector is pretty thick, see? Now, this connector has got no particular front or back. So you can feed this on either way you want to, just because it's not going to become a problem. So let's just feed it on here. Now I'm going to grab it like I normally would, right at the base of the two wires where they come together. Trying to make sure this one stays out of my way. And now we're going to just wrap it up like we normally would. Now I think my head is the head of my head pin here, my eye pin, is a little crooked, and if that ends up being the case, we will straighten it up. There we go. Now we need to cut off this excess wire. And tuck this this wire in. So as you can see, I've got it turned way down back into the back. So we're going to just take hold of it there and roll it forward some. So there is our link or piece that's going to go on here. Now, one thing you can do if you want to, since this is going to have 3 jump rings pulling it around the corner, is you can open up this jump ring that goes onto the link here and then put another one of these on here. And then when you put the final one on that goes on the ring, you can just slide it through the last ring there. Now that's up a little bit, if you can see. See how that's popped up from the other side some? So I'm just gonna, and there we go. So this side's chain is done, and its bead strand is done. Now we need to do the gluing part on this one. But we can still put the other one's pieces together. So this one, again, we're just doing like we did before. Put the fairy on the bottom. So we do our wrapped loop on the bottom. Up and around and over. Bring her around. I notice we're a little crooked. And we have our, see how I've left a gap there for our fairy to slide onto. And we'll grab this where the wires come together. And I didn't straighten this, so we just do that. And I'm going to push this up some so that when it comes around, it doesn't instantly run down the base wire. Whoop. I just hate it when they let loose like that, don't you? There we go. Now we're rolled backwards, see? So I am going to take my pliers again, and we're going to push this forward some so that it's hopefully not so backwards. It's still looking a little backwards, so I'm going to do it again. Okay, that's better. So now we'll put our pieces on, which was going to be the daisy spacer to protect the pearl first, then the pearl, one of the double bead caps, this pretty shell, looks like a little blue conch shell, then our other pearl, and our other daisy spacer. So there's our bead strand. So now we'll want this to go the same way as this one. Up and over. Get our up and around. Bring her down, bring her around, bring her up so she's lollipop shaped. Now the difference in this one is because we're going to put jump rings and we haven't a connector, we're going to put this, we're just going to wrap this up right here. So take our wrap, okay, stop falling. Wants to slide around on us. Now we want to tuck that baby in. Okay, now one thing I've found that a lot of times when you try to tuck it in, you need to do the plier, use both pair of pliers because it likes to roll. Okay, now we rolled this a little to the back, so we have to straighten it. So there is our fairy dust, and we'll put on the 2 jump rings like we talked about with this one over here. There we go. There is this side's bead strand. Now this is a little longer than I like them. Sometimes I don't mind if the fairy's up here a lot further, but this is very cool anyway. So because this is sort of under the sea theme, we have the little starfish here, and it wants to keep falling off, in our little sand dollar. So those are the things that will go on the bottle this time. It's going to fall off without its glue. So next stage is to get the glue out and glue these pieces together. As I am matte gluing, I got my silicone mat out. And now there is 2 ways you can do this of putting the little pieces onto your bottle. You can either just squeeze a little glue onto your bottle and then put them directly on, or you can put the glue on the pieces and then put them on. This time I think I'm just going to put some glue on the bottle itself. Oops, that one went stringing around. Then we're going to put our little piece directly on to the glue spot. Now, I've never figured out which I think is the neater way, because you'll probably have to pull some glue off no matter what. And this one might need a little more glue because the glue is not around the edges. So there is this first bottle with the gears. And like I say, I think probably should have had a little more glue. It doesn't, because this is the little bars here, it doesn't want to, oops, come here you, have enough glue because it needs to be on those bars better. But we'll see how it works. So this can be set slightly to a side, and we'll do the same by putting a glob of glue on 2 spots on this one. Now this one's glue spots I think can be a little smaller, but I think the other ones probably should have been a little larger. So here's our starfish being And then here's our sand dollar. You see I got a little run of glue right here. We'll have to clean that up. But there is the starfish and the sand dollars. So the next step is to pull this little screw out of here. Just unscrew it, don't pull it. And then put some glue on the end. Now I do this, and then we're just going to glue it right back into the hole that it was and just screw it back in with the glue on it, like so. Now I do this because I had a little girl playing with the screw, with the cork once, and unscrewed the little screw from the bottle. Well, as you can imagine, that wasn't great, because she was holding it at the time, and then it fell on the ground. These are glass bottles. They don't handle falling on the ground well, especially not when you're on asphalt, which we were. If you're on grass or if you're on carpet, they don't really care so much. Hard surfaces, they really care about. What did I do with the lid? There it is. So we can close up our glue, because these are the two steps with glue. There's one more step with glue, but we have to get the glitter in the bottle first, and we don't want to put the glitter in the bottle until we have let these dry some. And that's our next step, just to let these dry for a while. And after these have dried for a while, then we need to put the glitter in the bottle. And after the glitter is in the bottle, then it will be time to let it dry a little bit more. These don't want to behave, so we're going to get a tray out. Put them in the tray so they do behave by sitting to the side here on either side. Once these dry some, we can pull the excess glue off the edges, and we will do that, and then put the glitter in. Then we have to put the cork in the bottle and glue it in. It has to sit for a little while again, because we don't want the cork to get pulled out. So then we will put these to finish putting these together. So then the fairy dust, this fairy will go down this side like that, and our fairy on this side will be going down like so. So now we just have to let these dry before we can do anything further on them. Okay, we're back, and the first thing we want to do is see if we need to clean the bottles off any from our excess glue. Then after that, we're going to have to decide what colors of glitter we want for our bottles. So as you can see, where's my tweezer? There it is. There is a bit of excess glue around the very edges. This one, not so much for this bottom one, but the starfish has more. So just take your tweezer and tweeze the little bit of extra up a bit, squish it or pull on it, whatever works to get hold of a little bit, and then pull it off. So my sand dollar is finished now. My starfish, though, as you can see, has quite a bit of excess glue between his little legs here. Appendages, whatever you want to call it. Now this has a little bit of a runnel right here, and I'm seeing if I can get it to come off, because here we go. Well, not as good as I thought. But anyway, we're going to want to get as much of this excess glue off as we can so that it looks a little cleaner. My goodness, there's another runnel right there. Now the one thing about runnels, especially with your glass bottle, is that you can frequently just take your finger, like I'm doing, and rub until the runnel comes off. Sometimes it doesn't want to, but a lot of times it will. Now I do have a sharper pair of pliers if I feel that I need them. And I may need them to get this spot here out, because it's being very difficult and not letting me get a hold on it. But in the meantime, let's check the other one, see if it needs some off. The top one is looking really good. The bottom one needs some right here. I'm going to leave the rest of the glue that's inside the gear there. It doesn't really bother me any. So a little bit, just this little bit of good yunky there. There we go. So the gear one is pretty much done. The this one has a little bit still in the corner of the starfish I want to get off, and since it didn't want to come off with that pair of tweezers, we're going to get my sharp pair. Oop. So see how the tweezer has got a very much sharper tip on this one? Uh-oh. Starfish coming up. There we go. So this guy is still a little bit wet, obviously, since he's being difficult and wiggling around. Well, it'll be wet for a while because you want to let E6000 dry for 24 hours, but come on, let me get that little runnel. Okay, I think that'll do it. So now what we need to do is get the glitter, decide what color of glitter we want. And I think it mainly looks like we're going to go for blue, or maybe metallics for this guy. And so let's get the glitter. Okay, I have gotten all different colors of blues and some whites, and I have some gold and some copper. And so I was thinking this teal, but I think neither of these are actually teal. So we'll put the teal aside. We have some light blue, some white, like I said, some gold and copper, and this pretty blue here. So I think the one with the pearls, the shells, we'll get the white and the two blues, and then the one with the gears will get the two coppers and the blue as well. So let's get filling our little bottles. So, come here, you. And I think we'll take this one and we will fill it about 1/3 of the way with this blue. That's a little more than 1/3, but that's all right. We'll tamp it down. Now I'm going to move it over to my desk some and tamp it a bit. Now we'll go with the white. Ooh. Now that you have to be careful of. I just dropped glitter all over the place. So in with the white. Tamp this down and finish it off with the other blue. Oh, come on, open up. Now this glitter here, this is a little bit weird. It's like little sticks instead of round. And what I'm doing here is tamping it down because it will sink down into the bottle more. So we'll see if we can get a little bit more of this in here. And then tamp it down some more. Okay, I think we're done with this one. As you can see, I have glitter on my mat, and it sticks really nicely to it. So now this one's ready to have the glue put on the edge and have the cork put in. So I'll just take these out of my way a little bit here. Oh, that tamped down a little bit more while we were sitting there. See, it's down below the ridge right there now. So I want to see if we can get just a teeny bit more in here. The one thing I don't like about these little stick type of glitter is that it globs, which is sort of weird, but there, that's down a little better. So now I'm going to have to clean my mat off with the glitter, but then I'm going to just take the E6000 and run it around the edge of the lip here. Take my cork, and I'm going to watch how I got this, the little screw thing, because I want to have these towards the front, and when we hang this on, we want the screw thing to be so that when we hang it on, it faces forward. So since those are a little offset, we're going to try and get this sort of in the center like that. So there is this one done. And I don't think we're going to use any more of this blue. It's a little bit, well, for one thing, it's a little bit irritating because it slips. So we're going to put this to the side like so. We're going to get this guy out. And we are going to put some copper in the bottom. Now, copper is one of those colors that we don't need much of because, let's face it, there is not much copper in these. It's just that it's got metallics, so I want to use a little bit of metallic color. So then we'll put a little blue. And that's because of our blue flower. Same with the white. We're going to put a little white on there because of the blue flower as well. This can sit up here. Because the blue flower has some accents of white in it. So you can see we've got that. Now we're going to go for the gold. Now this doesn't want to come out very well, which is a bit of a pain because I want it to come out. This is the gold. I'd like it to come out the best, but it's not. Trying to decide what color else I want in here because I do want a different, another color probably. Maybe we'll put the blue back in. No, I think I'll maybe put some more copper in. With a touch more blue at the very, very top. And I didn't put the cap on my glue, so it's probably starting to dry out some. So, because it dries, the initial dry is pretty quick. So here we go. I'm pretty sure we've got enough in here. So let's tap it down some. See where we're at. Oh, we do need a teeny touch more. So I think we'll put just a teeny touch more blue in here. There we go. Now we need to put this one's cork in. See how our glue is doing. It looks like it's fine. So now we want to put that around the edge of our bottle. So just as you're squeezing the glue out, just roll your bottle around in a circle, and then we're going to take our cork, make sure our little opening is facing this direction, and push this cork down in here. And there is bottle number 2. Now those have to dry a little bit, and then we can put them all together. So, hi folks, I think it's time we finished our fairy dust necklaces. So here is the one for the gears, and this is the one for the beachy shots. So that will be this one over here, and this one goes over here. So we need a chain for each one. That one's closed. This one's not. Well, I will close it. There's our 2 chains, and in here is our 4 jump rings. Now these jump rings, one will hook the bead strand onto the little loop, and the other one will hook the little loop to the bell. So let's get that done. Dump these out. Now you can do these either way. Do the jump ring to the bottle first and then to the bail, or the other way around. I think I'll just do it to the bottle first. So just go through that loop there and close her up. Looks like this one wants to be more of a split ring because it wants to give us quite a bit of gap there. and not really close. And you know, I'm going to leave it that way because it certainly doesn't harm anything. If anything, it just makes it more sturdy. So then we'll get a second one. Open it up. Then we go from that little ring again to our bail and close this up. Now this is going to be a little trickier because the bail is not going to go over the edge so that it falls out of your way. But anyway, there we go. There's the first one done. Isn't that fun? Now we'll get our two jump rings again. Open this first one up. Go on our and through our ring and tighten it up. Now we'll get our last one and hook it from the ring to the bail. Close that baby up. Make sure it's closed all the way. It doesn't feel like there it goes. I felt the scrape. And there's number 2. Well done. Come on, get over here where you belong. So it looks like so. So there is our 2 fairy dust necklaces. One with the gears and one with the pearls. All finished. Aren't those pretty? Oh, there is our 2 fairy dust necklaces. Now all this stuff was from my stash, not any kits or anything like that. Here is our gear one. Isn't that cute? And secondly, with our sort of beach one with the pearls and the shells. Isn't that pretty? So anyway, there's our 2 fairy dust necklaces. I hope you enjoyed making them with me. Remember, if you make one, you have to do steps because otherwise you will not get it finished the way you want to. But I know that I enjoy making these. I hope you enjoyed having me make them for you and watching me make them. And heck, if you try making one, send me a photo. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.